Balasinor is actually really known and is famous for being one of India's, not only India's, but Asia's, one of the important paleontological sites. All these different, wildly different places and languages and shapes and forms, but like through photography and storytelling, that they can come together and people could find a common thread. And I think that's what ultimately the project aims to achieve and moving forward as well. And it will be a fun session and afternoon of like just looking at the photographs that we made just the day before, trying to put them in sequences, trying to put them in a layout, and trying to make a small little handmade zine that people can make as a memento. And hopefully, like it will inspire them to look at their neighborhoods and go out.
Welcome to This Week at the NCPA, a phenomenal photography exhibition at the Dilip P. Ramal Art Gallery. It's called Balasinaurus by Aashim Tyagi. It's already on. So if you go to the Dilip P. Ramal Art Gallery at the National Center of the Performing Arts at NCPA, you will get to see it as we speak. And it's actually got a very, very long extended run, which is till the 30th of November, just as well because there's so much to cover. And here he is, Aashim Tyagi. Just to give you a brief introduction into Aashim, he's a visual artist working across photography, design, text. He holds a BFA from the University of Oregon in the US. He began his career at leading agencies Publicis Seattle, Grandmother Design, Design Sutra Mumbai, Ray and Kesavan Brand Union, before shifting to art, editorial, and documentary photography. Hi Aashim, how are you?
Hi, Rishi. Thank you for having me. I'm doing really good. Just
This
kind
is
of
very,
reading
very
the
exciting. Let's talk about Balasinaurus and first explain the term. It sounds very, very similar to a Jurassic term.
That's right. That's right. I mean, when I was researching for this project and trying to come up with the titles for it. So the photographs, I mean, to give you a context, the photographs are of some of the Art Deco homes which were built by the trader families who used to live in the small town in Balasino, which is around 100 kilometers away from Baroda, to give you context. But then but besides this Art Deco homes and this architecture that which is what I was documenting, Balasino is actually really known and is famous for being one of India's, not only India's, but Asia's, one of the important paleontological sites. So the remains of India's first dinosaur were also found in a nearby village.
Wow.
It's named Rajasaurus, and then the royal family of Balasino. So Balasino was a princely state under the Barbi dynasty, and the family is still around and they're very much active. Um, and part of their philanthropic thing, so the princess of Balasino, Alia Barbi, she has been very instrumental and been working with Gujarat tourism and making a dinosaur museum. So when we were doing our show, which had most of these photographs had to do with these, this old architecture from the 1950s and 40s, which was kind of left behind. We just thought it was a nice kind of a playful term to kind of and a nod to the history of Balasinor and everybody loves a dinosaur, so we thought why not name it Balasinaurus.
Everybody loves a dinosaur. You're absolutely right. Irrespective of what age you are, you do have a fascination for those creatures who used to walk the planet.
Yep.
Now, listen, this is fascinating from a concept level, but very difficult to achieve on the ground. And you've done the hard yards across the years, Osham, and I'd like you to talk about that. And a lot of this stuff is things that you do with Street Type Archive,
Yep.
something that you founded in 2009. So I think it's nice if you talk about Street Type Archive, and then we get into covering Mumbai, Madurai, Osaka, Balasinor for these incredible photographs.
Yeah, thank you. As you said, yeah, this project is kind of a culmination of a lot of different, like projects and iterations that have happened before it. So, so I used to work. I mean, to give you a little bit of a background. So when I had an art degree, and once I graduated, I started working as a graphic designer, and I fell in love with typography and words, and that was very much kind of instrumental in my design work. But then as I was shifting towards more art and photography, somehow I kind of, the love of typography or the written word or, the printed word in the built environment as well was kind of like stayed with me. And I was always, even when taking photographs, I was always interested in that. Uh, and then what began as a documentation slowly has kind of turned into I'm using and utilizing typography as a kind of like a way in an entry point into understanding cities and places and what would be the cultural threads that could come of it. So, for example, in Bombay, which I've shot extensively from, yeah, Art Deco as well to a lot of other different street stuff. But like I did a little magazine around Bombay's diversity and cosmopolitanism, kind of shown through its restaurant signages. So you have like the Parsi bakeries, you also have like the Muslim bakeries, but you also have restaurants in Matunga which are multilingual, which kind of like like throws clues towards like like this may be a lunch place, but it is talking to people who may have made Bombay their home from all over the the country and other places. So so these little nuances which we when we look at the written word or type while walking the streets, we may kind of miss out. So I hope with this project, like photographing them in a way which kind of nods at that cultural insight, but also we have to realize that with the moving technology, a lot of these signs and a lot of these art forms basically are kind of like moving away. Like we don't see hand painted type on the signboards anymore. A lot of it has been printed with digital signs or like vinyl printing. And so like bringing that closer to like with different so, even in Balasinor, the one of the entry points was looking at Art Deco typography in terms of the regional iteration of it. So Art Deco, which started in France, arrives in Bombay in 1930s and then starts spreading in different all over India basically in the next decade or so. And the exciting thing that happens is like we learn from the even the Latin script of Art Deco, but we make it our own, and then you see those shapes and forms giving new iterations in Devanagari and Gujarati script and all these other languages as well. So that was my entry point in Balas, and similarly, like in different other places. In Madurai, I've used Meenakshi Temple as an inspiration to see how the colors and the iconography kind of spreads into the commerce of the market which surrounds it, which is very different and very everyday. And in January of this year, I had an opportunity to do a show in Osaka, Japan, and do the similar kind of a exploration of a neighborhood in Japan called Surahashi in Osaka. And then I got the opportunity to go there, make photographs. We made a zine and a bunch of and prints, and then we had an exhibition in a space within the neighborhood. And that I had taken my Balasinor, Bombay, and a lot of the Indian work as well. And it was very interesting to see like like even though all these different wildly different places and languages and shapes and forms, but like through photography and storytelling that they can come together and people could find a common thread. And I think that's what ultimately the project aims to achieve and moving forward as well.
This is fascinating and very beautifully explained. Now, just going to come back to specifics of the show, Balasinaurus at the Dilip Piramal Art Gallery. What's happening is that Aashim conducts artist walkthroughs of his own show. And today evening there's one at 5 o'clock, 11th.
That's correct.
And on the
Yeah.
15th there's one at 5, 16th, 29th, and 30th. If you don't remember those dates, don't worry. Just go to Book My Show, the app, or ncpamumbai.com and just check it out. 11th, 15th, 16th, 29th, 30th, 5 p.m. There are artist walkthroughs. Now, it is an absolutely free of cost exhibition, except you have to pay for the registration of the workshops. And now I'm going to come to the workshops. This is very, very exciting. It's a street type archive weekend that Aashim Tyagi has curated, a typography walk, and then a zine making. So let's talk about this. So what happens on day one? Day one is 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Ashim, and day two is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So let's start giving out the details on that. Sounds very fascinating. What are you going to make the participants do?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, it's been very exciting. Coincidentally, as a show has been going on as well, Bombay is also celebrating the Art Deco with the Art Deco festival. And so, as I said, like it's 100 years of Art Deco, and in Bombay there's a amazing festival happening at Baodaji called Art Deco Alive. So we are an allied event with them, and they very graciously has like they have invited us to be part of this as well with them. So I'm doing a photo walk on the 22nd in the morning. We will meet up at, I think the starting point is at Ideal Corner in Fort, and then kind of walk around Fort and Kalagoda areas. And the point of that is that so in a lot of my work and in like the act of walking and this and exploring cities is very central. And in terms of the photography as well, it is something that which is important to me. Not even important, is that it is necessary, because the idea is to kind of slow down, to kind of look at your environments, and kind of to see how do you then capture it. So in a photo walk, I think the participants will get to not only enjoy and to slow down and to see and spot typography and different design elements in the neighborhoods, but at the same time, everybody who can sign up is welcome to bring any camera that they're comfortable with. You don't have to be a professional. It is supposed to be a fun walk. And what I'm going to show is like some ideas around how do you compose, how do you look through things, because sometimes, like let's say a city like ours, Bombay, can be, seemingly very, very chaotic. It's very layered. There's so many things happening at the same time. But like even in a lot of my photography, I don't shy away from that. I try to incorporate those layers. So, if so what if it is messy? So what if it is chaotic? But, you still need to figure out how do you find the right focus to, rather than worrying about the focus in the bouquet, you try to find out what do you want to shoot, and what do you want to share with, or hold on to as a memory. So, which with these photographs and this walk, which we are around 2 hours, which we will do on Saturday, then with what the participants will have, will they we will kind of like look through the images and select the best ones, print them the next day on Sunday, which is where we meet up again at the Dilip Piramal Art Gallery. And it will be a fun session and afternoon of like just looking at the photographs that we made just the day before, trying to put them in sequences, trying to put them in a layout, and trying to make a small little handmade zine that people can make as a memento. And hopefully, like it will inspire them to look at their neighborhoods and go out, because ultimately, with this show and this photo show, with the photo walk and the workshop, I really just want people to be curious and be more participative of this city and surroundings, because if we do that, that's how we get to make it more beautiful and preserve what needs to be.
It's fascinating that you would talk about the Art Deco movement
Yep,
because over the weekend, along with the Art Deco Alive people, the people who are
yep,
responsible for that festival, I did a very interesting talk where we
mm,
talked about the book The Great Gatsby, and I was talking about how in the 20s in America, when the Art Deco movement started and came to America, it was also the time
yep,
the jazz age was really thriving,
and
and
yeah,
there were all these speakeasy bars, underground bars. Even though alcohol was prohibited, jazz bands would play, and the art of that era and the decor then finally came to Mumbai. And what Ashim is talking about is all these wonderful Art Deco buildings, fading hand painted signs, new shop fronts, traces of change that he's going to make you observe. Um, and Fort and Kala Ghoda are layered with Art Deco buildings. So this
absolutely.
wonderful walk, which is going to start at Ideal Corner Lakshmi Building and walk through the lanes of Fort and Kala Ghoda, are going to be an absolute treat for you guys. And of course, the master photographer that he is, he will talk about lighting, framing, and layers to create those compositions. And the idea is to basically tell stories through images. And of course, the next day is going to be fun editing and printing them and make that zine for you guys. So you must register for that. That is not
Yes,
free, and you can just get on to book my show, and spots are going out very, very fast. So try and get your spot right away. So I find it amazing that uh, there's a range of scripts like you talked about. There's Indian, Latin, Thai, Japanese, and and it's amazing how they reflect so much linguistic diversity,
yep,
so much visual culture, and And you've spent a lifetime now doing that. What is
I
your
know it.
yeah? What is your advice to anybody who's interested in this kind of movement of the Art Deco movement, for example?
No, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think the for any young designer or photographer or anybody who's creatively, curious, right? I think what are these movements, whether it will be something like technical, like typography, or something, like architecture or art deco, like that we see in Bombay. I think for them to be curious about this, what I think what we can look at them, instead of looking at it nostalgically, sometimes we tend to put them on a pedestal and behind a glass. But instead of looking at it, like, we have to imagine them at once that they were a living and breathing kind of thing. They were in their contemporary time, they were the new technology. They were the things that did not make sense to people. But I think that fearlessness that was exhibited when, especially in, let's say, Art Deco, when you look at it, like, and the time that it came in with the kind of resources and the things that it made it accessible, it made a lot of kind of design accessible to the people, but the kind of, the usage of cheaper technologies and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing that I would learn from that, because it is, like, sometimes in the current times that we live in and all of that, like, it can be very easy to be pessimistic. But I think if we take hope from what we can learn and apply it for the future, in terms of the things that we are building, in term for the especially in terms of the cities that Bombay is changing, right? So now we should imagine, like, if we are celebrating the Bombay of this last 100 years, so to speak, with this Art Deco movement, we should imagine, like, the next 100 years later, what are the other layers that will come in, and how should we celebrate, and other, like, and we should make it worth celebrating. So I think for any young person who's interested in being creative, I think the first thing is to be curious. So get out, walk around, look at your city, embrace the cracks, and like, and make something new, and it will happen.
Lovely advice there. There you have it, Balasinaurus by Aashim Tyagi. It's on already at the Dilip P. Raman Art Gallery. It will be on till the 30th of November. Timings are normally 12 in the afternoon till 8 in the evening. On select days, they're also going up till 9 o'clock. And of course, there's a daily walkthrough, not a daily, I beg your pardon, but walkthrough on select days, 11, 15, 16, 29, and 30th. And you must get on to Book My Show to register for these fascinating workshops that Ashim is doing. I really appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you,
And see you
Rishi.
soon. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
94.3 Radio 1.